Mordekaiser E or situation where you can knock somebody back with your W, your Q3, towards a wall and ulti them away, and then you can escape the rest of the enemy team. Now, once you use your ultimate, no matter how big the wall is, E over terrain. Now, you used to be able to by jumping to a teammate, but now you don't need to rely on those guys. You can E over walls regardless, and you can get through some pretty big walls. You can get through the Raptors wall, Red buff wall, even some river walls. There's a lot of walls you can clear, and the spell is extremely useful for chasing or getting away from somebody when you're in your ulti form. Now, a pretty key tip I can give you in terms of your ulti is once you've casted it and you've entered the damage K'Sante form, the cooldown has not yet started ticking. You're not going to be able to start the cooldown to your next ulti until you press R again. You can actually recast R to drop into the tank form. Now, this is very useful in team fights, where you can press R again to become tank form if they're, piling onto you, or you can just use it when the fight's done and you want to be recalling, where I still see a lot of K'Sante's recall in the damage form, but that's a complete waste because you're wasting the cooldown until your next R is going to be up. And one of the only other downsides, apart from being a lot squishier, is your Q no longer slows. Once you're in your ulti form, your Q doesn't slow anymore, but that doesn't really matter. It's still very easy to stick on your opponent, especially when you have Ice Spawn. You don't really need to slow, it's just something you should know. And the final tip for using your ulti is you can actually use it to block CC, where let's say for example you're about to be hit by a Mordekaiser E, if you start your ulti channel before the E hits you, you're going to negate the effects of that crowd control. Moving on to combos, and I'll start with the easiest insect combo, where you're going to be leading with Q3, into E behind them W, into R. You're going to be chaining your R and your W together. You can even weave in an auto attack between them if you're keen. You're so mobile without it, you don't really need it, and you will be taking Ghost a lot of time, we'll touch on that soon, but for the most part this rune is just overpowered. Cosmic Insight having a lower TP cooldown, lower summon spell, whether you take Flash or Ghost it doesn't matter, the lower cooldown of the spell is just so overpowered, especially when you verse a champion that doesn't take it, you can really abuse that window when you have your spells and they don't. And for the other runes, you will be running the attack speed rune. You should never be taking adaptive force on K'Sante. The second runes will be resistances, so armor or MR. You can mix and match depending on what you have an auto attack between them if you're keen. Time to insect them before W, auto like that. That's how you want to be trading a lot of the time, utilizing your Q3 attacks. You should know. And the final tip for using your ulti is you can actually use it to block CC, where let's say for example you're about to be hit by a Mordekaiser E. If you start your ulti channel before the E hits you, you're going to negate the effects of that crowd control. Moving on to combos, and I'll start with the easiest insect combo, where you're going to be leading with Q3, into E behind them W, into R. You're going to be chaining your R and your W together. You can even weave in an auto attack between them if you're keen, if you feel like you can before they dash away. And then after you use your ulti, you just lead with Q, AA, W, AA, and you just look to beat them down once you've already insect towards your tower or towards your team. And the second insect combo, extremely similar, but if they're putting up a bit more resistance, right, spacing out your Q, you're going to lead with E into Q3, and you're going to be walking past them into W, auto attack R, and then...
Does that mean anything to you?
Hear my name and know my strength.
Minions have spawned.
Survival is just the beginning. Surrender. warlords. They are not set to defend. Sometimes a warlord become a warrior. Better fight!
Ally has been slain. Enemy double kill.
Refuse to show to anybody. Why didn't they? No matter. So long as
An
I am.
ally has been slain.
Words. Quickly! It wouldn't be worth it if it were easy. I came to chew bubblegum and kick butt. Not enough. It wasn't close. Every step.
Enemy double kill. An ally has been slain. An enemy has been slain.
Like my toughness, break me, and I return stronger.
Take your time. There's so
Anyone can wield a weapon. Warriors! I am the Planet has become brave. every scar.
Double kill. Ace.
One hunt ends, another begins. No monster greater than that. Get that, what I Those who wish me dead, keep wishing. Salutations.
Shut down.
Open battle, honor none.
Ally has been slain. An enemy has been slain. An ally has been slain.
Those who don't respect.
slain.
Storming the range.
Has been slain. Shut down. A summoner has reconnected. An enemy has been slain.
Ascended warlords must fear whatsoever.
An ally has been slain. Enemy triple kill. Aced. Your turret has been destroyed. An ally has been slain. An enemy has been slain. Double kill. Aced.
Those who wish me dead, keep wishing.
Who was this seeker? Hello!
An ally has been slain. Shut down.
If Tope were here, he'd point out all my mistakes. Nothing we step out of because he can back.
and you just, chase them down. Q auto attack, W auto attack, you've already insect towards your tower or towards your team. Just lead with Q, AA, W into R, the easiest insect combo, where you're going to be leading with Q3 into E behind them W into R. You're going to be chaining your R and your W together. You can even weave in an auto attack between them if you're keen, if you feel like you can before they dash away. And then after you use your ulti, you just lead with Q, AA, W, AA, and you just look to beat them down once you've already insect towards your tower or towards your team. And the second insect combo, extremely similar, but if they're putting up a bit more resistance, right, spacing out your Q, you're going to lead with E into Q3, and you're going to be walking past them into W auto attack R, and then you just, chase them down. Q auto attack, W auto attack, where you want to be cancelling your auto attack animation with spells, and your spells have auto attacks. This champion feels really smooth, and I recommend practicing the combos in Training Tool, because if you can cancel your auto attacks and your spells quite cleanly, you're going to be able to increase your DPS by a lot. And the insect combo, if you have Flash, is of course to EQ3, and then Flash W instantly. Flash W, auto attack R, and then it's the same. Auto attack Q, auto attack W. But the most important part is the millisecond, you see your Q3 hit them, you can just flash behind them and start your W channel, so you have a lot of time to insect them before they can flash away. Now, common trading combos in lane we talked about before, we're going to be Q auto attacking and walking backwards, so that they can't retrade onto you until your next Q is up. Or if they're respecting your Q range, you E to a minion, Q auto attack and step back again, and if you do it quick enough, you can still utilize your shield if they retrade onto you. Now, before I touch on any more combos, it's very important you get into the habit, especially in lane, but in team fights as well, to chain CC your abilities together, namely your Q3 and your W. You want to be using your W to guarantee a Q3 hit, or you want to be using your Q3 to hit a W, right? You want to be using these spells together. It doesn't really matter which one. It depends on what you can hit at the time. But you really want to be making sure one allows you to hit the other so they can't dash away or dodge. Especially if they have a spell that they can dash or dodge away. It's really important you chain these spells with the right timing so that they can't get away from it. Carrying on with the combos, normally in lane, right, the most standard way to play out the lane, if they're respecting your Q range, is you want to be queuing, stacking your Q on the minion, and then when you have your third Q up, you E to a minion, hit the Q3 onto them, auto W, auto like that. That's how you want to be trading a lot of the time, utilizing your Q3, chain CC. But if you're versus an opponent that's a little bit better, a little bit smarter, as soon as you have your Q3, he's going to respect. He's going to space back and wait for it to run out or wait for you to use it. So the way to counteract that is you really want to be stacking your first Q on a minion. And once you have that stacked, once your second Q is up, if you feel like you're in a position where you can win a longer trade instead of a short trade, you can E onto them, E to a minion, get near them, Q2, auto attack, and then start channeling your W. And if you hit your W, then your Q3 is guaranteed. So they don't see that your Q3 is up until they're already stunned by the W, so it guarantees the fact that you can hit all of your spells. Moving on to the max damage combos. Now, there are a lot of combos where you can chain your CC in well, and it's not max damage. So for these ones, I recommend utilizing the auto attacks that I'm going to be talking about once you have Iceborne Gauntlet. Because once you have Iceborne, it's very easy for you to weave in your auto attacks. Even though the stun is going to wear out from previous spells, you're still going to be able to hit your future spells because they're going to be so slowed by the Iceborne, which is a big reason why this spell is so good. This item is so good. But keep in mind, early game you don't have Iceborne. They have gap closers, they have parry, they have dashes. So trying to do a max damage combo all the time, can have some bad results. But just as a max damage combo, we'll go through it anyway in case you're up against someone with no flash or once you have Iceborne and they can't really get away from you. So the first combo is going to be leading with Q3. So Q3 into AA into EAA. So auto attack EAA, cancel their animation, and then you're going to start with W, start channeling your W, auto attack right after between using your W and your R, like we talked about before. And after your ulti, you want to start with Q straight away. It is faster to Q after using ulti than it is to auto attack. So you ulti into Q instantly, and of course the Q cooldown will reset after using ulti, and then you're going to auto attack after that, plus W, plus auto attack after that, and then you just chase them down with Qs and autos. So to break down that combo, the most important part of it is after you ulti, you have to really make sure you lead the spell with Q into auto attack straight away. I still see some Cassantes ulting and then Wing straight away, which there are some timers where that's good, don't get me wrong. So let's say for example, you versus a Mordekaiser, where I had a game recently where this happened, where I ultied him and he ulted me instantly, which is why I use my W, because you can use your ulti to block a lot of CC, especially Mordekaiser ulti, so if you can do so, you can lead with W, but if you're not going to be blocking a key crowd control ability, after you ulti, you want to Q AA instantly before you even think about using your W. Up next, we're going to be covering the matchups, and something you might notice right off the bat is there's not a single champion in the hard column. And that's just because K'Sante doesn't really have any lanes that are borderline unplayable, very difficult compared to other champions. So when I've made lists in the past, for example, if you're playing Jace from the Jace guide, Malphite is a very hard matchup regardless of your elo. And same with, let's say you're playing Akshan, haven't really made a guide of him, but if you're playing Akshan versus Jax, that matchup is very difficult. And as for K'Sante, there's no champion where the matchup is just very, very hard. There are matchups that are not in your favor, of course they're in that column, but if I were to put champions in hard, so let's say for example you're learning the champion, you're unfamiliar in the matchups, Gwen through to Riven would be a hard matchup for me if you're just starting out. Because let's say, for example, Riven, if you're unfamiliar with the matchup, her level 1 with Ignite has so much threat against you, it's very hard for you to play into that. But if you can just neutralize, keep that lane even till around level 5, level 6, once you have some armor, it's going to be very easy for you. And I wouldn't say easy for you, I'll say it's still in Riven's favor slightly until you get Iceborne, but for the most
Better to fight than to live in fear.
they want to be slowly poking you down. Second one's going to give you so much value, and if you're ever unsure which one to also play to scoop around to the tower and play for kills. There are still avenues for you to win this matchup, but in terms of pure 1v1, in terms of trading, if she respects all of your timers to scoop her to the tower and just plays for extended trades, it's going to be very difficult.